Hello, my name is Megan Barner, and I am a health coach and physical therapist helping individuals with POTS and chronic fatigue rebuild their energy to thrive again in their lives. I'm very passionate about helping this population as I am one of them. I have been navigating both of these conditions along with a connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome over the last decade, and I'm happy to say that step by step, with intention and guidance, you can get back to having a better quality of life and having more energy to enjoy every day. So the topic for today's video is self-care tips to reduce your stress. It's a great time of year to talk about self-care as Valentine's Day is upon us. And many of us are beginning to think about ways we can pamper ourselves or pamper those that we love and appreciate in our lives. But I really like to stress, to use the word, the importance of self-care for yourself. Stress can be a trigger for many individuals, not just those of us with POTS or chronic fatigue. About 80% of doctor's visits are actually related in some way back to stress. That is not to say that stress is what's necessarily all of your illness, but it can definitely be a trigger. It's a big part of my own journey with POTS and chronic fatigue and EDS, and I did not realize it for many years. And many of the clients that come to me, it is also a big trigger. So much of what I'm going to share in this video is from my journey and working with clients and the background a bit that I have unfolded over time about the nervous system. And to preface it too, remember, all of what I'm sharing is for educational purposes only. Please check with your care team before implementing any of these. And if you are interested in working with someone outside of your care team further, someone such as myself, that can also be something else to explore to see how to further manage your stress. So, what exactly is going on when I say stress impacts us and can flare what's going on with our body? Well, it can flare our body and our mind. Our body and our mind are very interconnected. Signals go down and signals come up, and those signals get interpreted by our nervous system. And we can either shift into one or two states when we are faced with some type of physical, mental, or emotional stressor. So one of the two states that many of us with POTS are very familiar with is the fight or flight state, or the sympathetic state. In this state, we have tension, our heart rate goes up. For some individuals, the blood pressure can go up. We get sweaty, we may get flushed, we feel anxious, irritable, angry, aggravated, and you feel like you either just need to release energy or you may feel jittery and just revved up, that wired sensation. However, there's another side that our nervous system can shift to, and those of us with POTS can shift into that as well. Much of my own journey, I did not realize what was going on, and I was actually shifting into this state that is a shutdown state. It's when your body is actually overwhelmed by the stressor and can't rise and run or mobilize that energy, elevate your heart rate really high, and you are just stuck, kind of, I use the lump on the sofa analogy quite a bit. You feel heavy, you feel tired, you feel like maybe you're melting into the couch. You can have feelings of hopelessness, overwhelm, loneliness, just kind of like you're in a dark room and everyone has left. So your nervous system has a purpose for each of these states, and understanding that when our nervous system shifts into one of these states, it's trying to respond to the stress in front of us. But to be able to shift ourselves out of this state can drastically impact our energy levels, helping us not feel so drained all of the time. So how do you go about doing that? Well, step one is recognizing which of these two states are in, and hopefully the description I shared will help you figure those out. And then once you get into that state, to see that there are things you can do to shift yourself out of them. And if it's tough to identify which state it is, one of the practices that I go to myself and recommend to clients is tapping into something called resonance frequency breathing. This is a type of breathing where you have an even inhale, your heart rate goes up, and an even exhale and your heart rate goes down. There's no pause, and you're not having that longer exhale that many associate with trying to shift yourself out of a stress response. It's really teaching your nervous system how to be flexible and not get stuck in the fight or flight state or in the shutdown state. And it's kind of like squirting brake fluids on the brake to help slow down and so you can shift and change gears. I like to do it on a daily basis just to remind myself. It's kind of like conditioning your body for exercise, but you can also use it in that moment of fight or flight or moment of shutdown. I also like to pair it quite often with some tactile input to my body that can help ground. And some of the ones that I have found helpful and clients have found helpful is putting a hand on your breastbone and one hand on your belly and really noticing where your breath is coming from, trying to shift it further down into your belly if that's comfortable, or even putting your hands on the back sides of your ribs. Can't really see me on the video, but for those ladies out there, about below where the bra strap is on the back side, that can be very helpful to shift you out of that fight or flight state too. Other places on the body can be very grounding, like the tops of the shoulders. There's actually an acupressure point up there that can help with tension when we're in that fight or flight state. Or hanging on to your wrists, there's an acupressure point there called H7. Or putting your hands on your knees or in your hip region. Or for some, just putting your feet flat on the ground to give you some ideas, to bring yourself down and to reground and shift yourself out of that stressful direction that your body and mind are shifting into. There's also visualization. That can be paired with the breath quite easily. And it, again, depends upon the client that I'm working with and how much we blend all of these together. But visualization can be very powerful, tapping into your 5 senses to shift your nervous system out of that shutdown or that fight or flight state. What do you visualize? Well, you visualize something that brings you a sense of calm, a sense of ease, a sense of relaxation, gratitude, appreciation. Some of my favorite things to think about are a time with some of my favorite pets, cats, horses, or a memory that I really cherish, like times at the beach or a vacation, and really thinking about what I taste, what I hear, what I smell, what I feel, what I see. Can be very powerful, and that's more of a top-down approach. Combining it with the breathing, which is a bottom-up, so your body can be even more powerful. And I like to bring this up because it's something also that you can use to help shift yourself if you're not quite sure what state you're in. There's some havening techniques that are out there. One of my favorites is just called a containment hug or a self-hug. You can do something as basic as just your hands on your shoulders, or putting your right hand in your left armpit and your left hand on your right shoulder and doing a few breaths. There's also one where you're, to see me on the camera here, running your hands up and down your arms all the way to your shoulders nice and slowly. It can be a bit more calming if you actually touch the skin on your arms. I have long sleeves on right here today. Or you can just do your hands, but you're trying to send pleasant sensations to your nervous system to help shift it out of that stressed state. So those are some great things you can do in the moment, and as I mentioned, to practice them before can help you prime it so that you're ready to implement them when you need them. But there's some other things I'd like to mention, especially since, like I said, it's Valentine's Day week and we're thinking about self-care and showing love to others, to show love to yourself. Realize that you can kindly say no and that it's okay to put up boundaries. Oftentimes when we are putting more energy out than we are able to take in, we get very off balance and our stress levels rise. It's something that many that I talk with, friends and family that don't have POTS or chronic fatigue or other chronic conditions, can get very weighed down by, but there is a lot of power in saying no. Second thing to think about, especially when you have some nervous system dysfunction going on, like with POTS or chronic fatigue, is your schedule. Thinking about how you pace your day and how much weight or time that you put to each thing. Things that I've talked about in some of my other videos are, I will bring up again here, that are very important to think about when you're scheduling your day and to not overwhelm it and schedule in time that you need, is prioritizing rest. That includes time to recharge during the day, to do some of the practices potentially that I just mentioned, the breath work and the havening and the visualization, and to get enough sleep at night, going to bed and getting up, following your circadian rhythm the best that you can do. This can be tough for many individuals with POTS. And something that I work quite a bit with clients on. There's some key objective measures you can use to figure out if you're getting good recovery and overnight rest. But that is a good place to start. Another big thing to factor into your schedule is your meals and snacks so that your body doesn't shift into a fight or flight state. When your blood sugar dips significantly during the day, that signals to your body that there's a threat going on. And keeping your blood sugar stable can help keep you out of that fight or flight state. If you're already tired and your blood sugar dips or already feeling shut down, that can also really dip your energy levels lower as well. Keeping up your fluid and electrolytes, just to bring it up, for those of us with POTS, we hear it hopefully quite a bit, but it can be very helpful to time during the day when you're going to intake your fluid. So you're not up all night going to the bathroom and you're not getting to the point of dehydration that, just like low blood sugar, can send a threat signal to your body, stressing it and sending it into a flight or fight state or that shutdown state. Timing of exercise matters too. I've done a couple videos on POTS and exercise, but just to say, where you put your exercise affects the stress on your nervous system. If it's later in the day, it may keep you up. If it's before you've gotten good hydration and fuel from food, it could stress you out. And also matching the exercise to what your body needs at that point in time. So that's a whole nother side note, but just think about the schedule with exercise, fluid and electrolytes, food, and your rest affecting your circadian rhythm. And coming to the end here, keep in mind that you are the master of your day-to-day choices. Keep your priorities and your values at hand. It may be helpful to write them down, but when you start feeling stressed, to really see what is important to me right now in this moment, or what is important for me to get done in a day. Some use the analogy of what are your big rocks, like your 3 big rocks for a day, and once you fit those into your vase or whatever you want to visualize for your day, then you can fit in the little rocks. Because when we don't get in the things that we really need and don't match our priorities, that can increase our stress levels. So I hope these tips were helpful to manage your stress through really dipping into self-care. There are a lot of great self-care practices out there. I didn't mention things like massage and pedicures, manicures. Vacation is even a piece of self-care. Those are all important too. But it's really for management on a daily basis for self-care to manage your stress and to rebuild your energy so that you can thrive and enjoy every minute of your day again. If you are interested in talking to me more about self-care tips to manage your stress levels, or interested in learning about what I do working with clients, I offer a free 45-minute discovery session for any potentially interested individual out there. You can email me at megan.varner@guidetoresilience.com or drop a comment below this video, and I'd be happy to talk to you. Take care of yourselves, and happy Valentine's Day.